a young lady who I admire a lot with her small, relatively small stature, but they say big engine, small motor. And she's somebody that always reminds me, anytime we meet, anytime we are in events together, that is all that's happening, all the lives of the kids. Never forget that who you are an artist, and that is your calling. So I would like to invite Oluwabukunmi Olukitibi to come to the stage.
Olukitibi is a Nigerian dance artist, cultural worker, and somatic pedagogue whose work explores the body as a site of memory, creative intelligence, and communal healing. She is the founder of Hearts Artists, a multidisciplinary ecosystem that spans performance, wellness, and community arts education. Through residencies, workshops, and research-driven projects across Africa, Europe, and North America, her practice bridges movement, psychosomatic inquiry, and cultural discourse to reimagine how bodies carry knowledge and shape creative futures. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Oluwabukunmi Olukitibi.
That was my interlude. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. As introduced, my name is Oluwabukunmi Olukitibi, and it's a pleasure to be here. A big honor to be here today at the Abuja Open House 2025. Today I'll be talking about the body in the interlude, creativity, memory, and the future of Abuja's cultural ecosystem. First up, I would like to say a big gratitude to the International Institute for Creative Development for holding this space where the creative community is meeting itself again. It's always a pleasure to be amongst people who are doing tremendous, absolutely mind-blowing, amazing work. And I'm especially happy to see several people with whom on my journey I have learned from, collaborated with, worked with, and who continue to inspire through their own trajectories. This year's theme, the interlude, I feel is especially important for us as the city of Abuja itself is in an interlude. And today, I would like to speak about something that we often overlook in these conversations: the body. The body as the first space that we build. The body as the first archive that we carry. The body as the first home of creativity. In the creative sector, we speak a lot about fundings, about institutions, we speak a lot about infrastructure, and we also speak about visibility, all of which are very important. But creativity does not begin in the body. Creativity does not begin in buildings. It begins in the body. It begins in breath. Creativity begins in memory. Creativity begins in resilience. Creativity begins in the very tiny bursts of visions that arrive with us when the world grows quiet and we're able to listen to ourselves, we're able to hear ourselves again. Creativity sits there. And that quiet is the interlude. like Mr. Oluwabukunmi said in his introduction, the interlude is a pause. It is a threshold. It is a moment that is asking us, what do we carry? What do we release? And what futures are we preparing to step into together? In my practice, I work with the idea of the body as archive. The idea that everything we have lived, everything we have witnessed, experienced, resisted, and created stay in the body. Artists in Abuja carry the memory of navigating a growing but under-resourced ecosystem. Artists in Abuja carry the energy of dreaming in a city that is still learning its own cultural identity. We carry the hunger for visibility, we carry the hunger for connection. We carry the pressure to be everything, to be many things, in a place that is still learning to support artists. But we also carry innovation. We also carry improvisation. We carry cultural intelligence. We carry community formations. We carry a future that's breathing and beating underneath everything that we have created, that we are creating, and that we will create. In my notes here, I wrote that Abuja's creative sector is not empty. It is in transition. Abuja's creative sector is in an interlude. And transitions always require an embodied awareness. So I'll ask you all, and really imagine this question with me. What would the city of Abuja look like if we treated this interlude not as a delay? What would the city of Abuja look like if this interlude is treated as a creative incubation period? What would the city of Abuja look like if this interlude is treated as a laboratory, as a rehearsal studio, as a moment where we actually rebuild the kind of ecosystem that we truly desire? I will let that sit in for a moment. These were the questions I asked myself as a creative who has now lived, who was born in Lagos, bred and buttered shawarma in Lagos, but has now lived here for about 16 to 17 years. And this is where a lot of my artistic works and creative projects have stemmed. Once I have begun to found my language, both as a performer, as an artist with multidisciplinary skills, as a culture organizer, and as someone who is a big part of the creative ecosystem in this city. And this is where the yearly multidisciplinary creative residency lab and international festival that we organize come from. Imi, which is a Yoruba word that literally translates to breath, very akin to what exists in interlude. formulate a sort of think tank where we are not just performing, but we are unpacking, conversing, interrogating, deliberating, reimagining, recollecting, remembering, and remembering, and then making. Because breath is all we are until we aren't. And just of course, IMI 2026 is currently being planned and will hold in February. At the beginning of the year, against all odds, I must tell you, everyone told me it's almost impossible. And yes, almost impossible it has been to continue to organize IMI at the beginning of the year, because in this period, there isn't so much support to gather. But the beginning of the year, as you can all agree with me, for a lot of us who identify as artists or not, is an interlude. The period where you are not so sure, nothing is clear, nothing is given about how the year is going to unfold, or even your creative or personal trajectory. I know we have New Year resolutions and all that, but you have no clue exactly how they will play out. And it was in this interlude, for me personally, in 2022, that we had the first IMI. The first IMI held in January, 2 weeks after I had been released from a kidnapping, where I was, oof. Yeah, my mother didn't recognize me, you know. And in that pain, in that hurt, and that anger of why Nigeria, why this, IMI had already been planned. And everyone around me told me, cancel, it doesn't have to happen. But for me, in that interlude, I wanted to make, and I wanted to make in collaboration with, in acknowledgement of. And although this personal experience for me was not why IMI, but it gave IMI more resonance as my interlude, the first edition of it. I've seen over the past 4 years of organizing and calling on creative leaders, creators from around Abuja, but also Nigeria, to show up, to support, to share how people have responded generously. A lot of the faces that I can see here as well. Thank you all so much. And it's also in that interlude that IMI will continue for as long as God gives us the grace. Every great creative city, Lagos, Johannesburg, Accra, Berlin, Dhaka, they have all had an interlude. A moment before the world notices, before the world starts to look. And I'm just going to pedal back to the presentation of Mr. Malik. He had several interludes, I must agree, before that morning when he returned from his run and found 0% on his iPad or phone. You know, it was his period before the world started to pay attention. Every great creative city as at that moment where artists were the ones who shaped identity, artists were the ones who shaped values, artists were the ones who shaped infrastructures and the sense of belonging. And I know for a fact that right now, Abuja is in that moment. And we, everybody in this room, we are all responsible for shaping what comes next. This is also very personal for me because I've been reflecting a lot, and that reflects on the theme for IMI 2026, which is what remains and what rises. What remains is what has been. What rises is what can and will be. It is what is currently in all of your hands, in all of your heads, sitting in all of your hearts, and resting in the soles of your feet if you choose to walk. What does this mean for us as creators? I'm going to leave you with 3 invitations. First, treat your body as your first studio. Mr. Jerry and I talked a little bit about that before the start. Wink. Treat your body as your first studio. Before you think, before you strategize, before you begin to produce, listen. Because your body knows when you are in alignment. Your body knows when you're forcing survival over creativity. Your body knows when you need collaboration over isolation. Innovation begins first with internal clarity. The second invitation: build community as infrastructure. We are still waiting for institutions to catch up, but communities are here. Communities are here, and they are here now. We are here now. Community is what builds industry. Industry is what attracts investments. Investments is what sustains the future. Investments is what sustains several futures. And this interlude is the perfect time for every one of us to reconnect. My third invitation: dream beyond scarcity. If we only create from what we lack, we will never build what is possible. I think that's an important thing to repeat. If we only create from what we lack, we will never build what is possible. This interlude is an opportunity to reimagine our galleries, an opportunity to rethink how we collaborate, an opportunity to expand beyond Abuja's silos, an opportunity to position ourselves in global conversations. The world is looking for new creative languages, and we have them. Do we agree? I can hear your voices. But what if I add on that we don't only have them, but we are them? We, each of the bodies seated or standing, archiving, audio, video. You, all, I am the creative language that the world is searching for. Before I leave, I would like to create a collective interlude. So, I seek all of your support for a quick performance. Could you all stand, please? Thank you. One more inconvenience, because this is an interlude within the program of the interlude. Step away from your seat and find the peripheries. So your back against the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you for indulging me.
Sadece o ya. Semestre só.
Thank you all for indulging me. This performative interlude is for the bodies in the room, but the interlude is also for the space, for the chairs that have been carrying your weight through these hours. So, yes, don't forget, we don't exist on top of, we exist in connection with. And where you are, just take a moment. If your hands are binding, bring them down, loosen them by your side. Make sure you can feel your weight on the ground. And as an intentional moment for collective breath, together, let's take a deep inhale. And together, exhale. Another deep inhale. And a deep exhale. I am going to say a phrase, and you can silently complete it for yourself. The phrase is, in this interlude, I choose to build. You can complete it for yourself. I'll repeat the phrase again. In this interlude, I choose to build. Whatever came to your mind, hold on to it, because that is your next creative direction. That is your next contribution to Abuja's cultural future. Now you can gently and quietly walk back to your seats. Olukitibi. I come from play. I come from research. I come from curiosity. I come from hard work. I come from patience. I come from community. I come from a lineage of traders, educators, herbalists, waymakers. I come from a lineage of healers. I come from rest. I come from peace of mind. I come from peace in my heart. I come from imagination. I come from contribution. I come from me. I come from you. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for everything you have done. I look forward to the futures we are building together. Thanks.
Such a beautiful way to round up this session with speeches. Thank you, my dear sisters. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this collective exercise. So, before we step out to